The Sixers get their man, but they also add a much needed backup center. We'll talk about that and more next on Locked On 76ers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On 76ers your first listen. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. As the playoffs wind down, the sports stop sporting like we want them to. But this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone, every day, all summer long. So visit FanDuel.com/locked on to get started. Hello, my name is Keith Pompey, and this is my right-hand man, John Mitchell. We are the co-hosts of Locked On 76ers. I guess I can say I'm the tired co-host of Locked On 76ers. Mitch, you was up too last night late.
Yeah, I was waiting. I was trying to hang in there, man. You know, I was because you knew news was happening.
Yeah, you knew it was happening. I mean, the stuff,
brother. I was feeling for you, man. I know Keith got that story body written.
I think I got probably about maybe, and I'm telling the truth here. I got like 2 minutes of sleep.
Yeah, I can believe it.
2 minutes of sleep. So y'all, I know I look crazy. I feel it too.
Yeah, hey, you got 2 minutes of sleep, but you bring
5
minutes of funk. So we ain't worried. 2 minutes
of sleep. But the good thing is, yesterday was so crazy, I forgot to take out the trash. So it was with that. So then I was like, "Oh, I'm up. I forgot to take out the trash. Let me hurry and get the trash out." But look, y'all can care less about what happens over here. But like the Sixers got their man. They got Paul George. As we said yesterday, we talked about that they were going to go get him, right? Mm-hmm. We had a good idea that they were going to go get him, right? And they did. But the thing is, they also righted a wrong, and they were able to get a guy that they tried to get before, and they weren't able to, and that's Paul George. Mm-hmm. I mean, excuse me, that's Andre Drummond. They got Andre Drummond. Then they went out there and got Eric Gordon, a guy that they've been trying to trade for a couple years ago. Yeah. So they picked him up.
Yeah.
And then they brought back Kelly Oubre on the mid-level exception. So it was a pretty good thing. Now, again, I shouldn't say the then part, because Paul George didn't sign until what? 3:30, or he didn't get it didn't come out. Sources didn't inform people until like 3:30 in the morning East Coast time. So it's been a crazy one. But Mitch, what's your thoughts? Now, what I want to do is I want to talk about Paul George in the first segment. Yeah. In the second segment, I want to break down Andre Drummond. Yeah. What does that mean? And then in the third segment, we talk about the other two guys. But what does this mean to get PG?
Well, I know I saw some Vegas odds, and I know that I saw that the 76ers were bumped up into the third favorite team, to win the NBA championship, behind Boston number 1 and between Denver number 2. So the betting money is behind them early on. And we've been critical. I know I have, and you have too, of what they were doing. And let's be quite honest, the fan base has been critical of what they were doing. But let me give Daryl Morey his props this morning. He I like those old boxing adages. I throw Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker out there sometimes. This is Philly, and this is the capital of the boxing world for the last 50 years. So Bud fight boots. And stop running. But I mean, just looking at I'll say that last night and early this morning, I will say that Daryl Morey was Mike Weaver getting off the canvas against Big John Tate many moons ago, coming in with getting off, and getting a 15-round knockout after losing the 14 previous rounds. I think that the 76ers did well. Right now today, I don't want to hear about Philadelphia. Stop being WC Fields and stop saying with the woe is me. You got an elite wing. Is he 34? Will he be 35 during next season? Yes, he will. But right now, he's still an elite 6'9" wing, best catching, stop and catch shooter in the league, as we know. It happens to be 6'9". You added, you got your backup center, you addressed that, and Aaron Gordon, and you brought back Kelly Oubre, who so you've got about 7 or 8 guys now, on your roster. And you're much better now than we were at this time yesterday. Paul George is going to have to come here, and Paul George, you're going to have to put aside the old, and one thing, and this, Keith, and maybe people who don't work in this industry don't know, all sorts of narratives develop, especially now with social media, and I'm guilty of it myself. We're talking about, well, Paul George just wants to go somewhere and play the right way. He's not focused on the championship. Well, if you play the right way, if as Philadelphia 76ers fans, that's what your best coach in decades used to say. Larry Brown, we want to play the right way. You play the right way, you can win a championship. So the 76ers have positioned themselves, for, the window, the Joel Embiid window, because it all functions and evolves and revolves around what he does and how efficient and effective he is. So, I can't be critical, and I love to be critical of this organization. I like to bring up, Mikal.
Come on, man. I like the hate and John. Because see, the hate and John used to take a lot of the pressure off of me, or a lot.
Yeah.
But
you
know what? Real rap though, he did do a good job. Now here's the thing: the moves that he made were not surprising.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get more into it, but they just weren't surprising, because these are the type of players that they've been raving about for a while, right? Yeah. And we'll get more detail, but again, he's been trying to get Eric Gordon for 2 years.
Yeah.
Now the thing is, we got to figure out how much he has left in the tank, right? Yeah. Andre Drummond. I was on the radio show last night, and they were like, "Oh, does this mean that Joel's hurt? This, that, da da da."
Really?
Yeah, they always do. They always do. Like, sometimes you get on those radio shows, and I was on 2 of them. I was on a bunch of them, so some was cool, but sometimes you get on some of them, dude, and it's kind of like, do you watch this team, or you have an agenda?
Your mouth,
and you want me to comment. You know what I mean? You want me to confirm what you believe. Yeah. But I said to him, I said, look, yeah, Joel has been injured a lot. I said, but if you look at the minutes when he's off the floor, you need a legitimate center. Yeah. And Andre, and you look at how they were getting destroyed on the glass.
Right.
You need a legitimate center, backup center. Yeah. So I said, it's a lot. I said, don't get me wrong. Like, yeah, Joel Embiid's injury history is a problem, but it's also about this guy being the best backup center that they've had. Now, some people may say Dwight Howard, but Dwight was always getting teased and kicked out. I mean, dude, it was crazy. But anyway, so here's my question to you, though. I like what this team has.
Mm-hmm.
But they still need a backup point guard.
Kyle Lowry?
Yeah, but they still need a backup point guard.
Yeah.
And who's running the 5? Who's running the 4? Who's the power forward?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, who's the power forward? Like, them not getting Nico Batum not coming back, that's a hurt piece.
Is he retiring? Where
I don't know. He just ain't coming back. I don't know. I don't know. Like, I wish I could talk to him, but he's not coming back. And to me, that's a hurt piece, man, because you really need that. You need a big. You look at Paul Reed and say, well, maybe we can sign him up, and maybe we can turn him into a power forward. I don't know. Now, the one thing is, the Sixers seem like they still trying to get Clay. Like the
Oh,
crazy
man.
part is if they could waive Paul Reed, and I don't wish it on him because I like Paul, great dude, and he tried. But if they could waive him, they could have like $14 million in cap space to go get somebody. So I don't know.
You know what it is, Keith, man. I mean, you cover these players and you start to like certain guys, but at the end of the day, it's always a business.
Oh, of course, I know it's a business, but I also think that what the thing about Paul Reed is, he is who we thought he was, right? But I also think that, first of all, when he was talking that stuff against New York, he put some bulletin board material on, and they were coming at him.
Yeah.
But I do think that it's kind of crazy to me that last summer, when the Sixers were unsure about re-signing him or whatever, everybody was like, "You better sign him. You better sign him. Yeah, PB ball Paul." And then he struggled in the playoffs, and they was like, "Get him out of here." You know what I mean? To me, that was like, "Whoa, y'all turned on him quick." It was quick. Like he went from being the guy that, Doc's not giving him enough minutes, yada yada yada, to I want him out of here.
Yeah. It's ruthless, man.
Yeah, it's ruthless. That's ruthless. So that's one thing your boy Paul George got to get ready for, because he might get booed a couple times in the first quarter if he have a bad game, but that's just what we do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's just what we do.
Yeah, just come here and stay healthy, and that's more than half the battle right there.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So we will see. So let's go check out. Let's talk about FanDuel, one of our sponsors, one of our dear sponsors. And like you said earlier, Keith, I love sports, and I love them so much. I never ever want them to stop. And that's why I'm so glad the Olympics are here, and you'll be able to see great athletes like Sydney McLaughlin, Lavroni make it look easy.
She bad, ain't she? 50 points
over
the hurdles. Ooh.
Yeah.
But the dude won 46.
Yeah, she's ridiculous, man. She can run the Open 4 and be one of the best in the world.
Well, she's the best in the world in the Open 4.
Yeah. But listen, as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer games, and the sports aren't sporting like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone, every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com/lockedon and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball.
Do it today, people. As my man always says, definitely do it today.
Do it today. So listen, what you shouldn't do is listen to somebody screaming and hollering at you all day long. And that's what you get if you watch Fox Sports and ESPN all day. You sometimes have to turn down that volume with all that shouting. Well, listen, make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 around the clock like a tick-a-tick-a-tock on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Make sure you do it today. And you can thank me later for working in the lyrics from the Maestro.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, I'll thank you. I'll thank you next month. He's only playing. Yo, but listen, we were talking about Drummond, right? I'm telling you, man, Drummond it was funny. When Drummond came here, see, people, you know the backstory between Drummond and Embiid, right?
Yeah.
How Embiid used to troll him and all this.
Oil and water.
Oh, it used to be crazy, dude. Like, it used to be crazy. But the funny part is, like, the thing that people didn't know is that they were actually cool. But Joel was so smart in a way where he wanted to bring the center position back.
Right.
So certain dudes he would make fun of, and like it was like wrestling. Like it's serious. It was like wrestling. They would have a battle and doing all that, and everybody's like, "Oh, he's gonna kill Drummond." So when Drummond came, it was like, okay, how's this going to be? And especially since, let's face it, Drummond was an all-star center. He was a 4-time rebounding champion. And you're going to come here and back this dude up?
Yeah.
Right? So he comes, and it was perfect. And the crazy part was, this is the crazy part. So they make the trade for James Harden. And they kept saying they wanted Matisse, talking about Brooklyn. They want Matisse. Sixers like, nah, we ain't giving you Matisse. Okay, give us Drummond. So in order to get Harden, they had to get Drummond. But the crazy part about it is when the deal went down, Drummond and Embiid was after practice having a shooting contest.
Oh,
just
really?
having fun.
I didn't know.
When he walks off the court, he's traded. So it was like, wow, they really didn't want to throw him in there. And they haven't had a legitimate center since. Backup. Yeah. Now, the crazy part about it, this is how good it was. So they had Drummond, they had Embiid, and they had Charles Bassey. Charles Bassey was learning stuff. When Charles Bassey played, he was playing well under them because Drummond and Embiid was making sure he was right, more so Drummond. But now that he comes back and he fulfills a need, man, he does a big time. He's going to be able to crash the board. He could get body on people. Embiid, if you want him to not play in back-to-backs and stuff like that, you can do that. You can limit his minutes. You don't have to wear him down. So I think that getting Drummond, as big as Paul George is, and don't get me wrong, getting Paul George was huge. But Drummond was also a position of need. Yeah. Something they had to do. Yeah. And I feel like it works. And now, right now, they got 4 centers again. But again, we'll never know what's going to happen. But I think he's a great pickup.
Yeah, we were talking about him at the trade deadline, and not just us. I don't want to sound like we're like uniquely, NBA cerebrals or anything like that, but we were waiting, anticipating, and not even debating that a guy like
I knew you was going to say that.
that a guy like Andre Drummond would be the absolute perfect fit because of, number one, you need a backup center. Number two, because you just don't know the reliability of Joel Embiid has just not been there. It's just well documented that he's missed 4 seasons worth of regular season games due to injury. I don't want to speak that into existence as we go into another year with them. But that the reality is the reality. And the reality is you need a backup center when Joel's not there. You need a backup center on those nights when, that injury report comes out and it says back stiffness. And you know what that means. You need somebody who can step in there and do what he does, because now you do have, with bringing back Kelly Oubre, throwing him in the mix, with Maxey, with Paul George, you've got a plethora of scorers out there now, not named Joel Embiid. So on those nights when he's not in the lineup, and those nights when you need somebody, in particular, and you get to the playoffs, and you look how they get dominated when he was in the New York. The New York series was ground zero for that. So if you have a backup and a guy like Andre Drummond, you have what's possibly the best backup behind him you've had, because Dwight was huge, but again, Dwight had too many shenanigans going on, man.
Man, Dwight was crazy. I remember, what did Dwight do when Dwight went home to play the Lakers? I believe it was. It was the day he was going there to get his ring. He got his ring or something like that, and then got ejected that game. He got ejected in back-to-back games. It was crazy. We were in LA, and he got ejected against the Clippers, right? And then the next game, he got ejected. Whichever one was first. All I know is he got, because him and Montrezl Harrell almost got into it. And then he got ejected for something else. And I'm just saying to myself, like, yo, bruh. Like, one of it was like, and it was quick too. One of the game, it was like he was just got into some stuff, and then he was gone. It was always like that with him. Yeah. Always. I'm sorry for interrupting.
No, because Dwight, Dwight has some of what T.O. has in him, man. You know, he's one of the most elite athletes I've ever seen on a basketball court in his prime. But it's like, hey, if you want to shoot yourself in the foot at the end of your career, the gun is hidden somewhere in that wilderness, and they'll go find it. Like, you think nobody can find this gun? I'll show you wrong, and I'll shoot.
He was funny too, though.
Yeah,
he was funny because he knew what to do. Like, I remember one time everybody was out. Everybody, like, because that was like during the pandemic season.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not the following season where it was the pandemic. It wasn't, it was like not the season after the bubble. So it was like the White was crazy. So I remember what he would do is everything he did, it was to get attention.
Yeah.
So like after one game, him and Ben Simmons came out and did extra shots and stuff like that. But the White knew that everybody and their mom will pull out their phone and videotape it and be like, look at these guys working hard, right?
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
So he was, but I ain't gonna lie, the pregame, like they had like a little pregame skit when they were introducing the starters. Mm-hmm. It was him and the low minute dudes, and they were dancing and all that. It was like, I don't know if Doc really liked it.
Yeah.
Dwight was funny, man. Dwight was funny.
Yeah, Dwight, and gifted, but I was Andre.
Dwight,
he just couldn't stay on point, man. And probably would still be playing in the league if he hadn't,
Yeah, but then that other stuff happened.
Yeah, the other stuff happened.
Other stuff happened. That was the summer after he left the Sixers.
Right. It all fell apart.
Yeah.
Usually comes together for guys when they leave the Sixers, but this time it all fell apart.
As soon as he left, that's when the other stuff happened. So other stuff. But yeah, so we'll talk about basketball when we get right back.
Yeah, because there's a lot to talk about.
So Mitch, when I look at this, it's funny because now Eric Gordon, I said they wanted him for a couple years. So I remember it was the 2002 draft where Daryl Morey was trying to get Eric Gordon. And what he was doing was he was basically going to put Matisse Thybulle in the deal. And they needed a third team. Well, the thing is, the team that they finally came up with, who actually turned down the 3-team deal, was the Portland Trailblazers, right? The Portland Trailblazers like, nah, we ain't trying to get involved in a 3-team deal.
Right.
We want Matisse straight up.
Right.
Something like that. So they couldn't get Eric Gordon. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, I know Daryl was enamored by him, like a guy who could come off the bench, a guy who can make shots, who can do all the other things. Now, granted, the brother's been in the league for 16 years, so he's older now, right? Yeah. But Daryl loved him, just loved him. And the funny thing is about it is he used to be a workout partner with James when they were in Houston and stuff like that, a good addition. But that's the thing why I said these moves aren't exactly surprising because they were trying to trade for Drummond last year and that fell apart, right? That they've been trying to get Eric Gordon for a couple seasons. And now that they have him, it's like, it's a good move in my eyes. Now, the only question is, how much does he have left in the tank?
Yeah.
Because there was times that I looked at him last year and I was like, okay. But then there was other times when I looked at him and it's like, all right, I see it.
Yeah.
But he's older. So
Yeah.
the thing is, it's like when you look at him coming off the bench and you say comparable to some of the guys they had last year, you know, he may be better. I mean, he's probably better because he's mature. He has a basketball IQ and he knows his role, just come in and get shots.
Yeah.
Right. But I think he's vital because you need for him to play.
Yeah.
And you need for him to play when he comes in at a high level, in my opinion.
No, I agree. I mean, and I'm early in his career, I know why Morey was enamored with him because he was a very good player, man.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he was a very good player. You know, now it's kind of like that line in wintertime with him. And I think that's going to be the narrative that evolves around this team because you got a lot of these guys now who I mean, you had older guys on the roster last year, but I think the older guys now they're actually not so. I mean, you know, when they had Batum and some of these other guys last year, they're older, but I think these guys are better. And obviously, Paul George is much better than anybody they had on the roster. But if Eric Gordon can come in and make some shots, and I don't think he's a guy who will be confused about his role. He knows why he'll be here, you know. And I think he still can make it, you know, contributions. I mean, we had the same conversation about Kyle Lowry, another guy who's old but you know knows what it takes to win. And I think when you look at it in its totality. Some, you know, these older guys, they're, you know, and who knows, you hear the, you know, Clay being bandied about, who knows if that'll happen. I do want to see them get some more youth, but Eric Gordon, if he has something in the tank, and I think he does, he'll have spurts where he can look, you know, he'll come in and he'll give buckets for you, he'll get threes for you. I mean, I like the addition. I do like I like the addition.
So let me ask you this: moving forward, who do you think they? I mean, who do you think they should get? Like, you know, the Clay thing, like you said, that was something that was bandied about. But it looks like Clay could end up in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
But it's funny, like I'm talking to my source, I know that they really interested in him. Like one guy even asked me, like, where do you think Clay's going? So I was like, oh, okay, that's a dead giveaway right there, bro. But so the deal is they want him, but do you think Clay is a must get now? Maybe Clay, if it's all about going to the highest bidder, and stuff like that, and trying to get back at Golden State, I think that Clay would probably go to the Lakers, or I don't know if to let how much money, or go to Dallas or somewhere like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like they need a point guard too. They need a back, and again, that's where Kyle Lowry comes in.
Yeah.
But also, they need somebody that you feel like that can give you legitimate minutes off the bench, right? I also think, man, they need some power forwards, bro. They need a legit power forward, not like a guy that's an undersized power forward, or a Paul Reed who you're saying, okay, we're going to give you a tryout at it. You know what I mean? Like you need some real. I mean, I'm not calling him not real, but he's a center. You know what I mean? So you need some real fours, man.
Yeah, they need a RoboCop at number 4, man. They need a guy who can bang. Ideally, you like to have the mythical stretch 4. I don't know who's out there to fill that position for the 76ers, but they do need a 4. They do need a 4. And you know, if we know it, I know Daryl Morey knows it. And again, kudos to him for getting off the canvas a la Mike Weaver and having a you know, and having a good late first day in free agency. But yeah, a 4 is a necessity. I can see them waiving Paul. You know, Paul Reed.
Paul Reed, yeah.
Yeah, I need to get that right. You know, I can see Paul. You know, that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I can see it. They got to get $14 million because when you look at it, let's see how many players they got. Well, Maxey didn't sign yet, but he will.
Yeah.
So you got Maxey, you got Embiid, you got Maxey, Embiid, you got Paul George, you have
Drummond
Gordon. So that right there is 5.
Oubre.
You got Oubre 6.
Two rookies.
Got the 2 rookies, so that's 8, 9. Paul Reed and Paul Reed and Ricky Council. That's 11 right there.
Yeah,
so they only got room for four more spots.
Yeah.
So I mean, shucks, but then you got the two-way guys, but they, you're not going to include them unless they ball out. But yeah, so they got room for 4 more guys. So yeah, I mean, it was nice to have Kyle Lowry come back, a veteran group. But I tell you what, though, this team, they in a straight win now mode, though.
Yes, it's all about. Yeah.
These brothers are a little bit on the older side. Yeah. So it's straight win now.
Yeah.
So they got 4 more spots to get.
I'll tell you what, man. If you like basketball and you like competitive basketball, the Atlantic Division is a good division to watch this year.
Yeah. You're right. But can they beat the Knicks, though? That's my question.
They should be able to. If they stay healthy, yes. Listen, the most important number for the 76ers continues to be 270. That's the most important number. Joel's weight.
Oh yeah, you gotta get down to 270. Yeah,
get down. Impress me, man. Go run
a real 270.
Real 270, not it's funny in the NBA. It's not like in college and high school. In college and high school, they're always adding weight. They're always adding height. In the NBA, it's like, okay, we want to trim you down some.
Well, yeah, even the height too. Like Joel, because Joel is listed as 7 feet, and he's 7'2".
Yeah,
and it's like, huh? Like what? Like why y'all tricking people? Like what I mean? Like you show up and you're like, oh dang, he taller than I thought. Like it's just crazy how they do things. But that's the league. But look, y'all, we want to thank y'all for listening. We want to make sure y'all have a blessed day. But before we go, I gotta talk to y'all about what Locked On has launched. And what Locked On has launched is the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. And now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channel app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On Plus, our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today, now available on the free Fire TV channels app. So for my man Mitch, this is Keith Pompey. And I just want to say have a blessed day. And we'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Peace. Deuces.